What's poppin', y'all? Welcome back to another episode of NBA Weekly. I'm your host, Pee Wee the Plug, and in today's episode, we have to talk about the struggling Phoenix Suns. Right now, the Phoenix Suns are on a 6-game losing streak. They're 1-9 in their last 10. They're officially below 500, and as of today, they are 8th in the Western Conference playoff picture, trying to stay in the play-in mix. And I'm going to be quite honest with you guys. I don't know if this is going to change or get better anytime soon. Right now, they have been hit with the injury bug as bad as anybody in the league. Cam Johnson, knee surgery. He's missed 33 games. He's going to miss a few more. Devin Booker with his groin injury right now. He's already missed 12 games. He's going to miss more. Chris Paul has already missed 15 games. Heel injury, hip injury. He's day-to-day right now. DeAndre Ayton has missed a handful of games. He's missed 4 or 5 games. Campaign is out right now. He's going to miss the next 2 weeks while already missing 13 games. They have a lot going on. Jay Crowder hasn't played in a single game this season. The Phoenix Suns have a mess on their hands. And I honestly don't know if, when, or how they're going to turn the season around. Because we can start with Devin Booker. The Phoenix Suns are 2-10 without Booker. And they're 18-11 with Booker. They're a playoff team. Prior to Devin Booker's injury, they were comfortably in the playoffs. They were one of the top-end Western Conference teams in the playoff mix. And he went down. The last game we saw him play was against the Pelicans. I think he had like 58. He tried to give it a go on Christmas Day. He only played like 3-4 minutes. And we haven't seen him since. And he's been a guy that's been out for this 10-game stretch that has them 1-9 right now. And like I said, they're 2-10 without him. And over the course of this time without Book, nothing positive has happened. Like Chris Paul, he's been in and out. Campaign, in and out. You've had Landry Shamet performances that's been kind of good. Dwayne Washington Jr. has had some games. You know, Torrey Craig hasn't been awful. You had some things like that in the mix, but it hasn't been nothing overwhelmingly good. And on top of that, there hasn't been anybody really stepping up. Mikal Bridges has had a solid year all year. But I think he's kind of looked at as like he's going to give you what he gives you. And anything more you have to be happy with. And they've been satisfied with the steps he's taken this year. But you still don't expect Mikal Bridges to out of nowhere become some 30-point scorer and fill the void of Devin Booker. Chris Paul has had some moments, but it's still like you can kind of see his age catching up to him a little bit this season, which is unfortunate because I really do think there was a point in time where we thought Chris Paul's career could maybe be extended with this core that the Phoenix Suns have. Not too long ago, the Phoenix Suns were in the finals against the Milwaukee Bucks, and they had a superstar shooting guard emerging as one of the top players, if not the top player at his position in Devin Booker. Also, in that NBA Finals run, DeAndre Ayton was playing the best basketball we've ever seen in his young career, where a guy like me was convinced that DeAndre Ayton was going to go into next year as a top 5 center and be in that all-star conversation for the next foreseeable future. So just right there, the Phoenix Suns' potential and their fan base and in the front office had them to believe they were going to have an all-star duo of a guard and a big, the traditional way to build a franchise with a dominant big and a dominant guard. And on top of that, they had a young wing who was emerging as one of the best defenders in all of basketball in Mikal Bridges. You had Cam Johnson, who was playing 6 man of the year type basketball coming off your bench. And who knows, in the foreseeable future, he was looked at as a guy that you can probably insert into the starting lineup. So you have that core, and it looked to be Chris Paul would just be able to chill, hang around, rest a little bit, be ready for the playoffs, and just be that veteran presence for this young core as they continue to battle through the playoffs and try to get back to the NBA Finals to eventually win them one. And with the progression of DeAndre Ayton, with the progression of Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, the fact that Devin Booker is not old by any means, so you can see him continue to get better and better, this team eventually would be a championship team. But when we come to today in the present moment and everything that's transpired since that finals run, this situation does not look as appealing. The very next year, they were the best NBA team by far in the wins and losses category. Last year, the Suns were by far the best NBA team. It's not even close. They were the only team that won 60 games. They may have been the only team that got more than 55 wins. They were just the best team in all of basketball last year. And even then, I remember being on the podcast and saying to my co-host, hey, I see what they're doing in the wins and losses category, but there's something missing with this team. And I even went on to say that I didn't look at the Phoenix Suns as contenders. And I went back on the statement because I didn't want to discredit the Suns and take anything away from them because they were playing dominant basketball. So I gave them the contender badge. But even when I went back on them being a contender, I still told everybody, I just don't see them going as far as everybody else is thinking. They're not a given like a lot of people are saying. And I specifically said, I could see this team losing in the second round to the Dallas Mavericks. That's what I mean. I just don't. And that's sure enough what happened. And since then, this team has not been the same. After that series, DeAndre Ayton and Monty Williams kind of had some issue because Monty benched them. Obviously, DeAndre Ayton didn't like that. All offseason, there were rumors about the Suns and how they value DeAndre Ayton. They think they could play with another big to replace him. And even when you look at how they play or the conversation around DeAndre Ayton currently, I can see now and understand what they meant. I think the Suns value more a rim-running, rim-protecting big. I personally think the Suns would rather have a Mitchell Robinson-type center than DeAndre Ayton, if we're being quite honest. I don't think the Phoenix Suns want to play a brand of basketball where they have to dump in the ball to DeAndre Ayton, where he has to get post touches, where he has to get the ball at the elbow and he's taking 15-foot jump. I don't think they want to play that brand of basketball. I think they want somebody who can block some shots, crash the offensive glass extremely hard, and eat offensively through the offensive glass and be a lob threat and just run the floor. I really think that that's what they want. Somebody who's going to do all of that for probably half of the money that DeAndre is making. But we go into the offseason. Obviously, they can't get Kevin Durant like they thought. Obviously, they didn't want to lose him for nothing. But it took him to sign an offer sheet with the Pacers for them to match the money and give him the money that he wanted. So right off of that it's awkward. It's kind of the sense of like he doesn't want to be there. They don't want him. And ultimately, they're probably going to split ways and go two different ways. Then we go into the season, the media day, and DeAndre Ayton says, I haven't talked to Coach Monty since the playoffs. And now that fire is reignited. And DeAndre Ayton is very short at media day. He's answering the questions very short. He's just, I'm here. I'm playing for my last name and not the front name on the jersey. Everything. Just not the best chemistry to start the season. And then on top of that, Jay Crowder isn't even there. Jay Crowder doesn't want to be there. He's making tweets. He's ready to be traded. A lot going on just to start the season. We hadn't even played a game yet. And I say all of that to say, I look at a time right now where Devin Booker's out. He's a big void. Chris Paul has been in and out. And during this 10-game stretch where there's been no Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton has just been solid. And again, I don't want to make this a scapegoat situation on DeAndre Ayton. He's not the reason that the Suns are playing the way that they're playing or the fact that they're not meeting the expectations that they have for themselves. This is not DeAndre Ayton's fault at all. But 19 points, 10.5 rebounds. It's just not, it's not the DeAndre Ayton that the Phoenix Suns are paying for, especially when there's no Devin Booker. This is a guy that recently had a 4-point game against the Raptors. He was 2 of 10, and he didn't attempt a three. He just shot 2 of 10 from the field as a center. If I'm not mistaken, this guy gets to the free throw line like a handful of times. They're paying him max money. They didn't want to. On the season, I think he's averaging like 17 and 10. Couple of offensive rebounds, 8 defensive rebounds. Nowhere near the all-star conversation. And at this point, I honestly believe that it would be beneficial for both sides to part ways. I keep seeing everybody on the timeline talk about the Suns' struggles, and they're mentioning very small trades, minuscule trades. And it's like, oh, go get Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma doesn't come and fix this problem. Oh, try to get Bogdan or Bojan from the Pistons. He doesn't fix this situation. The Suns need a monumental, very big move. And the move is going to have to be DeAndre Ayton. And I think if I'm DeAndre Ayton, I want to be traded too. If I represent DeAndre Ayton, I want him to be traded too. He isn't eligible to be traded until another week, December 15th, which, again, is only a week away. It's not that far away. And I'm going to be very interested to see how the Suns handle it because I just don't see any other way they can get better. There's been conversations about DeAndre Ayton's role in the offense Monty Williams has spoke on it. DeAndre Ayton has spoke on it. Both have been trying to be as professional as they can be. But that's what made me led to believe that they want a rim running big who wants to do less on the offensive end than DeAndre Ayton. They're not looking to get somebody who wants post touches and shooting 15-foot jumpers. They just want somebody who's going to put his hard hat on, protect the rim, crash the offensive glass, be a lob threat, and get his buckets off of dirty work. They're not looking for a guy they have to dump the ball into and give touches and who wants to shoot 15-footers or over-the-shoulder turnaround jumpers out of the post and little floaters. It's not what they're looking for, especially at the price that they're paying. And I think because of that, he doesn't get the touches he deserves or that he should get because he does have monstrous games. He has games every once in a while. I was like, oh, damn. DeAndre Ayton almost had 20 and 20 or 18 rebounds, 15 rebounds. He has his moments in his games where he's putting it together. It's just not consistent, and it isn't on a game-by-game basis that will put him in the all-star conversation. And I think he ultimately wants that, so he should look to go elsewhere. And the Suns want something else. And these trades where you're getting Jay Crowder, I don't even know Jay Crowder's value right now. I literally don't. I don't know Jay Crowder's value. And because Devin Booker has the groin issue, and because I do think that that's going to go into All-Star Weekend, I really don't think Devin Booker is coming back before the All-Star break, if I'm being honest. They're going to be another month without him. I don't know when Cam Johnson is coming back. Cam Payne is going to miss another 2 weeks. Like I said, Chris Paul is already day-to-day. This hole that they're in is just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And Coach Monty has already talked about DeAndre Ayton getting frustrated a couple times. We don't get the ball. He's also had the moment, Coach Monty against the Cavs, was like, we should have gotten the ball more down the stretch. But it's like, that doesn't do anything. You're never going to really give him the ball as much as he wanted, as much as you should, because that's not the way that you guys want to play. And DeAndre Ayton isn't the type of center that's just going to go get it on his own. He's not all of a sudden going to crash the offensive glass and just get 8 points there. It's not going to happen. So the only way to fix this situation or have some type of bright outlook is to make the trade sooner than later. It's too much pressure to expect Devin Booker to miss 15 to 20 games and then automatically come back and put this team. I'll just say this. If this team gets back to where they were when Devin Booker is healthy, give him the MVP. Give him the MVP. It'd be the greatest example of literally the most valuable player. I mean, to be 18 and 11 with him and then 2 and 10 without him, and I think that 2 and 10 is going to get worse and worse. Like if Devin Booker misses another 10 games, it may just be 4 and 20. They'll be 4 and 20 without him or something like that. And with the Lakers on a win streak, I believe is somebody else on the Timberwolves on a win streak. Teams are creeping back up. Teams are trying to get in that play-in. And that's the one beneficial thing I can say for the Suns is that outside of the top 5 teams out west, everybody else is below 500, either 500 or below. The Warriors are 500, like the Clippers are 500. Everybody else is below 500. So even when you lost 6 games in a row, you're still in the mix and not that far away from being the 6th seed because the rest of the West below the 5th seed sucks too. Like the Clippers are on a 6-game losing streak. The Lakers had to win 5 games in a row just to get near you. Just to have a chance to get in the playoffs, the Lakers had to go on a 5-game win streak. Just to show you how bad they've been. So there's still some type of hope. But as far as getting back to that team that this franchise and organization visualize themselves for being, I don't see that ever happening again unless they make that trade. You're not trading Chris Paul because what is he bringing you? You're not trading Devin Booker because he's your guy. Mikal Bridges, I would keep Mikal Bridges. I love what he's giving you. All signs point to Ayton. Ayton isn't playing up to the potential that a lot of us think he can. And it can't be all his fault, and it can't be y'all's fault. At this point, it has to be some situation where a change of scenery is probably more beneficial for him. And if you're the Suns, even if you can't get the value for value, you need to go get 3 players. The Suns have no depth. They have no young pieces to rely on. I just don't see a way where this team can get back to where they were trying to go. And it's mind-blowing when you think that this team 2 years ago was in the finals and last year was the best team in the NBA in the regular season by far, and it wasn't close. That wasn't that long ago. And again, I know you can chalk this up, Suns fans, to the injury bug, but I think this is more than injuries. Obviously, you're not 1-9 in your last 10 with a fully healthy team. But if this is the DeAndre Ayton that you're getting even without Devin Booker and no other options, I just don't know. I don't know if you're ever going to get the DeAndre Ayton that you're hoping for. I don't know if you're ever going to get a DeAndre Ayton that's a top 5 big, and not with this team. Maybe he goes somewhere else and he plays a better brand of basketball in a different location. But, I mean, yeah, and he's averaging 2.7 free throws, 17.5 points, 9.8 rebounds, 2.7 free throw attempts. He's shooting 59% from the field, 33% from three. Again, they're not bad numbers at all. But when you talk about the number one pick, a perennial all-star big, the dynamic other half of the dynamic duo of Devin Booker and him, he's not holding up his weight. He's not holding up his weight at all. 17 and 9.5, that ain't all-star big numbers. Not when you have the Jokic's, not when you have the Embiid's, even the Karl-Anthony Townses. And right now, the contract is going to go from $30 million to $32 to $34 to $35 million. Crazy contract, man. Crazy contract. And to me, that's it. It's time. No more waiting. Trade DeAndre Ayton as soon as you can. The next conversation, I'll let y'all in the comments tell me, is the destinations that he can go. Because I don't see a lot of them. I see the teams and the trades that people try to draw up online. I'm not a fan of them. I've seen a trade where the Suns got DeMar DeRozan and Nikola Vucevic, and in return, the Bulls got Cam Johnson, Jay Crowder, and DeAndre Ayton. I've seen a trade where the Nets got Ayton. Wasn't a fan of that one. Don't believe he can go to the Pacers because they are the ones that gave him the offer sheet to match. Who knows what the Pacers are even up to? They're playing really good basketball right now. Miles Turner may resign. Who knows? Just don't know what's out there. But I know this fit isn't it. And depending on how this next month goes and how soon Devin Booker or Cam Johnson both can return, Suns may have to look to fold this year. This is NBA Weekly. I'm Pee Wee the Plug. Phoenix Suns. It's time.